just throw the hand signal at them. Now it's really interesting, when you're training an animal, you got to be very careful when you blow this whistle. You want them to be doing exactly what you've asked, because if he's jumping and he does a low jump instead of a high jump, and I throw this whistle and then feed him for it, basically I'm training him to jump lower and lower. So a lot of times if he does a very low jump, I might not blow the whistle. I might have him come back and ask him to go again to see if I can get a higher one, and then I'll blow the whistle on that one and feed him for that. And so again, when you're watching our trainers, they're looking at the criteria of what we've asked the animal to do and bridging them right at the perfect moment there. Now, part of our day is not just training. We actually basically give you everything this animal needs to have a thriving life. So that includes all the care, feeding, all the medical care. When I come in the morning, the first session, I basically do a visual exam on every animal, make sure they didn't cut themselves or scratch themselves overnight, that everything's okay. Then throughout the day, we're continually watching them, looking at them, observing their behaviors. Beluga whales are what's known as a flight species, meaning if something scares them, like a killer whale or a polar bear, or for us, like even a sudden movement, they're going to take off. They're not like a killer whale or a dolphin who's going to stick around and fight. These guys are big chickens. So being a flight species, we find that they're more of a shy type of animal. So if they're injured or something, they usually try and hide that, because if a predator knows you're injured, you're more likely to fall prey to that animal. So because of that, we really have to know our animals. I have to basically know what's normal for them and what's not normal. So if I come in one morning and notice something seems awry or something's not completely normal, that's when I might call the vets, have them come out and take a look. So the relationship that we have with our animals is so important, because this is what's going to help us determine if everything's okay. Basically, we need to know if they're hungry, not hungry. I mean, any little change in their diet, any little change in their behavior, their activity level, this is the kind of stuff we really got to keep tabs on. Again, you can see a variety of behaviors going on here. Klondike over there to the right. He's a lot of fun. He actually can get very excited during a training session. We never try to think for these animals or be anthropomorphic, but we can tell they really enjoy learning new things. You can tell he gets really excited when we're training something new. We try to make every day different for them, because how boring would it be if you did the same thing every day, played with the same toys, learned the same things. So every day we mix it up, do different types of training sessions, try and train new behaviors. It's basically like going to school. Every day you want to learn something new, otherwise it's going to be boring. Now again, if you notice the group out there feeding Allua at the point, that is our Beluga encounter. If that's something you're ever interested in the future, you can actually book it online, get a chance to go out there and actually meet one of these animals up close and personal. Now again, when I'm out here talking to you guys, it's not often that one of the trainers gets to come out here and chat. If you guys have any questions or something particular you'd like to know about, and that could be about the belugas, the walruses, the seals, please feel free to yell out a question and come on over, and I'm happy to answer it for the whole group here. So a couple things about these animals. Do we have another question over here? All good? So I want you to watch Tina. She's got Allua. Hey Ian, can you actually do a melon wiggle for me? Can you do a melon wiggle? So what Ian's going to ask Klondike to do, watch his forehead, you guys. It's called the melon. And you see how he can manipulate it and move it, kind of wiggle it there. There's a lot of muscles around that melon. It's interesting. That melon or the forehead is an oil-filled sac, or a lipid-filled sac. And the brain and the skull are set a little bit further back. The reason why they have that oil-filled sac is for echolocation. And a lot of you aren't familiar with that term. Echolocation, basically it's very similar to like sonar on a submarine, where these guys can actually produce noises. That oil-filled sac will take the noise and focus it into a sound beam. And the sound will travel out into the environment and echo off objects. When that sound echoes back to the beluga, They receive sound vibrations in their lower jaw, goes to their brain, and it gives them an image of what's in front of them. To kind of let you understand how spectacular this is, these guys live in the Arctic. It's dark 6 months out of the year. It's not a clear pool like this. It's a dark, brackish ocean. So sometimes their echolocation is more important than their vision. They can't see. So by sending out this sound into the environment, it's bouncing off rocks, it's bouncing off a school of fish, it's bouncing off another animal. It's giving them a mental image of what's in front of them. This sound production is all happening like in nanoseconds, so they're getting this information very, very quickly. Let's see, I'm going to ask Paige maybe to do a backup for me. So watch, she's going to have Klondike backup, you guys. This is, oops, that's not it. So sometimes when the animal doesn't do what we want him to do, what Paige is going to do, she's going to wait for Klondike to come back. She's going to give him like a 3 or 4 second timeout where she doesn't respond to him, then she's going to ask him again. A backup is important for beluga whales because they're an ice species. They live underneath the ice quite often up in the Arctic. And if you think about the ice up there, there might be ice canyons, ice caves, and by being able to back out of an area that actually could trap them in is really beneficial. There he is backing up. It's really cool. Killer whales and dolphins can't do this. This is something pretty unique to beluga whales. I was talking to you earlier about their predators, killer whales. Polar bears are also one of the main predators of a beluga whale. Now, first of all, if you are a polar bear, you're walking along the beach up in the Arctic, she's out there swimming around, she looks like another little iceberg to you. So a lot of times, the polar bear might not even realize there are some belugas out there. Killer whales, a little bit sharper there. Killer whales obviously live in the water with the beluga whales, but what's cool, since the beluga whales don't have that tall dorsal fin, they'll swim directly beneath the ice. Killer whales don't like to swim directly beneath it because that dorsal fin will kind of bump into it. So not to say they can't come up, but actually this is just kind of a way of camouflaging themselves and trying to hide from killer whales. All right, guys, question time. Does anyone have any questions about belugas? I'm happy to answer them. Come on over. That's a great question. The white color is for camouflage. Think about the environment they live in. Like I said, they look like little pieces of ice floating out there on their swimming. What's really interesting is killer whale or beluga calves are dark gray, and it can take them up to 10 years before they turn completely white. And the thought behind that is it's basically like a shadow underneath mom. Again, it helps to camouflage. Ladies, if you thought 9-month gestation period was bad, beluga whales are about 15.5 months. Babies are usually about 100 to 150 pounds at birth, and they'll nurse for up to 2 years. Yeah, another great question. Another big difference between beluga whales and dolphins and killer whales. Beluga whales, the vertebrae in their neck are not fused, so they basically have a neck region like we do. They can nod their head, they can turn their head back and forth. Watch a killer whale or a dolphin. The vertebra is all fused. They have to turn their entire body to look side to side. Yeah, it's a really important difference there. All right, guys, any last questions before I hand the microphone back to our education staff? That's a great question. She wanted to know if that unfused vertebra is possibly an adaptation to where they live. I can't distinctly answer that as a scientist, but yes, I would say it has to do with their environment, and they can get into sticky situations with the ice and stuff, so have more maneuverability in the neck, I think would make a huge difference. Yeah. You're welcome. All right, guys, any more questions? Great. I'm going to hang out for a few moments. If you're not comfortable coming up to the mic, I'll still be out here for you. Thank you for joining us for Inside Look, and have fun at SeaWorld today.